This is the start of our 2023 Montana archery hunt. I can hunt either sex deer, either sex elk, and have a bear tag. So this is Sunday morning. It's our first day of hunting. I got in yesterday afternoon, threw all of our gear together, got everything ready, and then drove out this morning. We're coming to the same place where I shot my cow last year. It's been raining here for the last week. I think yesterday was the first dry day. And so we weren't even able to drive up the road to get up here. It was so sloppy. We had to park down below and then hike up to where we normally park, and then come in from there. So it's been a really slow morning. We've heard, I think, 3 distant bugles so far away that we couldn't even really pinpoint where they are. So we did see 6 or 7 whitetail. When we first walked in, they were several hundred yards away and something spooked them. I don't think it was us. Our wind was good and I don't think there was any way they could have seen us, but something spooked them. They took off, and then that's been it for the morning. It's probably right around 9 a.m. So entirely different than last year. By this time last year, we probably had 4 or 5 bulls that had come out in the open, responding to our calls. They were bugling. Not this year. So not a great start, but we have heard bugles. So, that gives me, makes me a little bit optimistic that, there's still something going on, or we can still get something fired up. So we're going to, take it slow, just see what we can do. But no action right now, and probably stay in here for the day. Again, we're going to play that by ear too. If we get to noon and do some calling and we don't get any more responses, we may hike back to the road and then hike up a little bit further to kind of some flat stuff up on top and see if, we can locate something over there. So here we go. I always look forward to this hunt. This year's no different, even with the slow start. Pretty excited. 3 things I can go after, so something should hit the ground this week. Here we go. Okay, we walked to a new area. Wasn't anything going on at the area where we were this morning. So we hiked up the road to a new area. We had lunch, did some calling, quite a bit of calling, and nothing. Never got a single response. So I think what we're going to do now is hike back down the road. It's drying out enough now where we can probably get up the hill. So we're going to probably hike back down the road and grab the truck and then come up here, and then we can hit a few more places a little bit more quickly. And then hopefully maybe locate something a little bit quicker that way. So before we left the original area, Gary and I walked down and we were just kind of exploring down below where we were sitting up on the ridge, and when we walked back up, I looked back down and saw a spike that was going through the trees, but there really wasn't an opportunity to make a play on him. He was already moving. I don't think he knew we were there, but he was already getting out of there. And then when we were down there exploring, Gary looked over, and we're pretty sure we saw 2 wolves. They were probably about 400 yards away. But saw 2 wolves that were skirting up the edge of the meadow that we were next to, and that could have something to do with how quiet things have been. I mean, who knows? It's hard to say, but it's very possible that is influencing what's going on here. So anyway, and then when we walked up to the place where we are now, just before we had lunch, we bumped 2 deer, 2 does. I was going to try to stalk one, but again, they had already kind of seen us, so I didn't make it even 10 yards, and the one pegged me and took off. So again, it's been pretty slow, but we're going to get the truck and see if we can hit a few more places, move a little bit more quickly, and then try to get something located. It's about probably 1 o'clock right now. That's it for now. Looks like a bear climbed this tree. I don't know if that's what that is or not, but I don't know what else it would be. Okay, just had really exciting and really disappointing moment. After we had our lunch, after my last update, we did what I said we were going to do. We hiked back down to the truck, and we were able to make it back up this muddy road with some pretty skillful driving by Gary. So once we got up on top here, then we just drove around and checked out some places and just never found anything. Never really found any sign. It just doesn't seem like the elk are in here. We're going to use this evening and sit. If we don't see anything come out this evening on the private, then we're probably going to bail on this place, either for several days or for the week. Anyway, so we came to a place where we've sat the last couple of years, where we can look down onto the meadows below on the private. And on our way up, we just got to the top of a pretty decent climb, and right when we crested the ridge, we immediately saw the backs of two deer, two mule deer. Well, it turns out there was at least 4, if not 5, but we only saw the 2, and they were at about 60 yards, so actually probably about 50 yards. So we had to move up just a little bit, but the 2 that I saw, I thought they were both does. So I thought I was the only one that was going to be willing to take that shot. So I nocked an arrow. I was trying to catch my breath from just coming up this hill, and nocked an arrow. I ranged. I got 43.5 yards, but there was a small, like, little spruce tree or something right in front of the deer. And I think now, after the fact, I think that's what I must have ranged. In any case, I settled my pin. I took a couple deep breaths, catch my breath after climbing up that hill, and let go, and it dropped right below it. Well, then once I shot, we knew the other one was there. Well, then we saw 2 more. The back one of one of those ones was a decent buck, like at least a 3-point, if not a 4-point. But those other 2 were at like 70 or 80 yards. So the one I shot at, he didn't get really spooked, so he went about 30, 40 yards. So he was at about 70 then, and I tried to move in a little bit closer for a second shot, and they weren't going to let us get any closer, and they took off. But it turns out, talking to Keaton and Gary, they were all bucks. The one I shot at was probably a spike, but all the others were just kind of, small bucks, except for that one, I think, that we saw up above that was coming down. I think that was a 3 or 4 point. That would have been a decent buck. Keaton went after him to see if he could get on him again, and wasn't able to. So I'm really disappointed. I can't find my arrow either, so lost my arrow. And I was dead center, right and left. I think I hit that tree when I ranged. I probably should have taken a second to range again. They were looking at us when we first came up. They didn't even know we were there, but when I drew, then they all raised their heads and were looking at us. So it was pretty much, and there was no time for a camera. It was like, you're gonna knock an arrow, you're gonna range, and you're gonna shoot, or you're not gonna get anything. So I think somehow when I ranged, I hit something in front of it, some brush sticking up or something, and because it dropped right below it. So really frustrating. Could have had a deer down, and that's probably about as good of opportunity as we're gonna get, right? Like, they didn't know we were there. We were in range. I didn't make the shot. It's a bummer. But anyway, so we're going to sit the rest of this evening here. I'm just up above them doing this update. And then we're just going to, watch these meadows down here and see if something comes out. If something comes out, then we might continue to hunt here, at least tomorrow. Sorry, I'm just covered in cockleburs. I've got like 1,000 cockleburs on me right now. But so we'll see how this evening goes. And that'll probably determine like where we go tomorrow and even spend the rest of the week. So that's the update. We have had some excitement. An arrow did get released, but nothing down on the ground. It's only day 1, so that's all. That's all for now. You got your glasses? I got them on there. I just can't tell if it's focused or not. She's still there. I don't see him. Yeah, but... Oh yeah. This little guy's been eating this entire time that we were calling to these bulls down below. He's across the fence on private, so we can't do anything. Alright, we're walking back to the truck. You're not going to be able to see it because it's so dark. But the truck is down there in that meadow. I don't know if I can get my finger on it. Right, the truck's right there. There's 3 elk in that meadow. We have probably 4 minutes to the last light. I can't get the camera to zoom in on that, but there's 3 elk within 75 yards of the truck.
At least.
Yeah. Well, there's one that's much closer, but at least, yeah. Okay, it's about 5:30, and this is my first update for the day. So we're in the same place we were yesterday, and the same place we've come to the last 2 years. So this morning we came in really early, but we went to a place we've never gone to before. So we didn't go up above the private, we didn't go down below the private, we kind of went off to the side on this BLM. We just thought maybe we'd catch something, going through there, not expecting anyone to be there. No luck. We called, we sat for, I don't know, we walked in a little ways, sat for 2 hours, I think, something around that time frame, and just never got anything, never got any responses, never saw anything. And once we were done there, we came back to the truck, and then we decided we just kind of, for the late morning, middle portion of the day, we'd hike up through this upper piece, and at the very least we saw a mule deer last night, several mule deer, bumped them twice actually, and but they weren't skittish, right? Like they bounded off, but they stayed close. We ran into them again. They were still in the same area, so figured let's just head up in there and spend the middle portion of the day just looking for a mule deer, see what we find. And of course, obviously maybe we could have run into a bear or seen some elk too. So hiked up some tree-lined ridges. We kicked up 3 bucks, and they got out of town pretty quickly, but we were able to watch them. So we kind of saw generally where they went. We figured if we left them alone for a while, they would probably bed. So we hung out for an hour or two, ate some snacks, and then made our way over to where we figured the general area where they'd be. And we took it was probably like an hour, just stalked through this kind of light trees and flat area. And sure enough, as we got towards kind of the end of it, where it kind of dropped off down into the valley below, we busted them. But I don't know, I'd say we were probably at least within 50 yards. We got close, we got on top of them, but it was just, we couldn't spot them. We'd go 2-3 steps, we'd use our binoculars, scan, look, 2 or 3 more steps, look. It took us a long time. My legs were exhausted just from being so precise with every step. And but we ended up bumping them. So it was still exciting. It was still cool to see them. Unfortunately, I didn't get video of them until they were quite a ways away because they were behind trees and they were moving so fast. But anyway, so we bumped them. So then we decided we'd come back to the truck again. And on the way back, we ran into 3 or 4 grouse. Gary got one, got a shot at another. I wasn't able to get a shot. Every time I got close enough, they would take off. But so we got 1 grouse. We came back to the truck. We hung out for the last couple of hours, and now we're headed back in for the day. For the rest of the day, we're gonna sit some water and try to call some stuff in like we did last night. See if we can get any of those bulls that might still be in the area to come in, or anything that would be in the area. And that's where we're at so far today. So it's been a fun day. It's been slow, but we've had some excitement, and we'll see what the evening has in store. All right, so we're in our place where we're gonna hang out for the evening, and we've just been doing some calling for the last 30 minutes, and just watching to see if we see something step out, or listening to see if we hear a bugle. Nothing yet. Alright, we were calling. We had 2 distant bugles, and after about 10 minutes after the last one bugled, and it was clearly closer. I would guess maybe 200 yards away, and before, like, it sounded like it was a mile away. So I backed off. I'm sitting squatted down behind a bush now, about 50 yards behind Gary, and I've been calling, and I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard anything. Gary called a little bit, and now for the last several minutes it's been really quiet. He motioned to, he just called. So I don't know if he's seen the bull yet. He motioned to me to back up even further. So I'm hoping that meant he saw the bull, but it just was hung up. And maybe it's still out there. But we've got probably maybe 30 minutes before last light, or last shooting light. Haven't looked. Crossing our fingers we can make something happen here.